Hi, everyone. This is Cindy Kabika, and welcome to the Soul View. And of course, joining me is Shivani Ganel and Lorelei Robbins. And we are so thrilled that you're joining us here today. Oh my gosh. But anyways, I just want to say that we've had such a wonderful response to what it is that we're doing, and we're still figuring it out. We're still, we've got a few things here that are not quite smooth yet, but we're working on it. And I just want to say that because you all have been writing to us and asking us to do it every week, we decided to go to an every week format. So here we are today.
Yay!
And exciting. And as I said, everybody, this is just an exciting adventure for us. And what we've decided to do is each week to take basically one topic. Now, we might bring up some other things, but we really want to talk about one topic that's in the news and really explore it at a very deep level. And this week, we've decided that we would talk about the March for Our Lives movement that is going on. And oh my gosh, hundreds of thousands of people around the world marched this last weekend. And what has happened because of that is quite fascinating. And that's what we're going to be talking about. But before we get into that, I want to find out about our cosmic weather. So Lorelei, you want to go ahead and talk about
Sure. Well, and I just want to say something about the march, and then because it's very interesting. March for your life, march for our lives. If that's not Aries energy, I don't know what is. First of all, marching is Aries, and standing up for what you believe is Aries, and being true to yourself. So this is, again, as it's always fascinating cosmic timing, we're building to a full moon on Saturday, which is the full moon in Libra. So we have the sun in Aries, the current consciousness of everyone in the first sign of the zodiac, which again is self-reliant, be true to yourself, take a stand for what you believe. And Libra balanced with cooperative, collaborative relationship. So as the moon's light grows in the sky, we tend then to come out more. And so at a full moon, there's such an opportunity. When we talk about projection, whether positive or negative, it's exacerbated at a full moon. We just tend to see the whole you spot it, you got it. We tend to see what's in us under a brighter light with greater illumination. So the fact that the moon is full in Libra, while the planet of communication is in this reflective place, again, is an opportunity to really see, or to be looking at, what do you say when you talk to yourself, and how do you interact with others? Are we all being true to what needs to be communicated? We could be seeing arguments now. We could be seeing people that are contentious, but also that are clearing the air, because Aries sees nothing other than this is what I need to say. This is what I need to do. So with consciousness, obviously, this energy is one where anyone could find themselves really using words they've never used before, and really standing in the power of that. So Mercury retrograde, full moon, and of course, always the opportunity to see more clearly again what's going on inside us. So pay close attention to the folks that cross your path. Interesting, over the Easter weekend, right? The crucifixion and the resurrection. So it's almost like, what are we willing to die to in order to be resurrected into, or to be, what are we rising into from the death that's occurring? I mean, I just think, again, if we honor all the traditions, right, then this particular weekend is certainly in the Christian tradition, and certainly growing up Catholic for me, if you went to church on Easter, you wouldn't be damned to hell.
Right.
That was the one Sunday you had to go to church. So very powerful weekend, full moon, Easter weekend, being able to see more clearly. So again, if all things work together for good, then what can be recognized, there's a word, in this time frame, can be incredibly powerful for each of our transformations, I would say.
And I want to just go to Shivani for just a moment, because one of the things that we talked about, Shivani, is that what you're really known for is that positive mindset and really helping people transform their lives through positivity. So I just wanted you to look at what's going on cosmically, the March, and then have you bring into the conversation, the how you would help people transform their thoughts and their feelings right now.
Oh God, that's a big question, Cindy.
It is a big question. but you got this. This is who you are.
Yes. Look, I mean, with anything, as you've said before, when you spot it, you've got it. And I added, especially if you are, if you're emotionally activated. Yeah, so if you're overreacting, if you see something on the news and you get angry and you stomp off, then you've got it, right? Because you spotted it. And look, I like to, like what I do is I try and see both sides. So instead of, that's the very first thing I do. So instead of blaming, and I've seen some comments with the March for Our Lives where people said, well, this, what do the young people think? They don't know anything. The brain isn't developed enough. It's a conspiracy. Yeah, so I would suggest before anybody comes to a conclusion to really look at the other side. Mm-hmm. Why would they be doing it? Why are they compelled to march? Yeah,
exactly. And I want to say to everybody, if you see over to the side, depending on your technology, it's either going to be on the side or below you. Just go ahead and put in your questions and your comments, please. We want your questions and your comments, and we will get to as many of them as we can. I do have Facebook open here, so you can put it if you're on Facebook Live, on our Energized Living Today page. Go ahead and put your questions in there, also in the side here, and we will get to them. And I'm going to be looking at Facebook, ladies, so if one of you can be looking over to the side and just seeing questions that come in or comments, either one, I want to hear from everybody. And you can introduce yourselves to each other too, just say hi from wherever you are, because we would like to know who you are and where you're joining us from. And
I just want to add something very quickly. Mm-hmm. For example, any belief that you have is true. Right. So, for example, if you believe you can do something, that is true. If you believe you can't do it, that is true also. So it will always, doesn't matter what you believe, this is true. And then you will, because of that, you're also gathering evidence. And mm-hmm. so it becomes even more true, right? Mm-hmm. The question is, what you can ask yourself is, does this belief help me to do what I want to do? Yeah,
Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah, sure. Look, I've just been, I think last show I talked about recommitment, right? And where I committed, I always look back when something happens, because I love the navel gazing and figuring out, okay, so how did it work? So I literally created something. I wanted something. I created an opportunity for myself, which was awesome. And I also knew that this opportunity took commitment, and also I will go through hard times, because I learned leadership, basically, component of becoming a leader. And so, of course, the first week or two, it was like, I'm in, I'm doing everything I can. And then things didn't work out how I thought it should work out. Okay. And then I started to look at faults. And then I talked myself so into it that I need to quit. This is too hard. It's not what I thought, right?
Mhm.
And I think we do that all the time. And then something shifted, like I happened, and I think the universe is so supportive, because the difference for me was I knew I had to wait. Like my conscious mind really wanted to quit, and I had all the evidence, and of course I see more evidence why it would be a good idea to quit, right?
Sure.
But spirit constantly say, just wait. And so, okay, so I listened to it. And then no coincidence here, I happened to watch a blog, like a blog show radio thing, and it was all about commitment and how quite often when the going gets hard, we then tell ourselves it's not meant to be.
Right.
Yeah, and quite with spiritual folks especially, right?
Yep.
And then I realized, hang on, I'm actually selling out on myself just because it's hard and I haven't actually accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, right? And I would have just jumped ship. And so something shifted, and with that, I came back into gratefulness for the opportunity that I have created for myself. Yeah, and I noticed that that's really how it works, meaning you believe something and then you already look at everything that will confirm what you're believing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. Yeah. So and then the question was really, okay, so A, who would I be without the belief? And does this belief help me with what I want to accomplish? Yeah, because beliefs are always, yeah, you're right. Of course you're right.
Yeah.
And that's very evident in what we're seeing in this movement. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because how many times could these young kids actually quit what they're doing because of they're being ostracized by some people? And before I start talking about that, the beauty of what they're doing, remember everybody, when there's disorder on earth, there is order in heaven, and there is order to everything that's going on right now. But one of the things I want to talk about the egg. In the 19, I can't remember what it was the 1960s, Kellogg hired a company to destroy the egg. And the reason is because they were selling cereal. So they did everything they can, the cholesterol, and got people all worked up and in fear of cholesterol. And so it destroyed the egg. And everybody started eating something that was actually worse for you, which is cereal, which is, causes blood sugar spiking, filled with all kinds of sugar and all kinds of other stuff. And when the egg was actually very healthy, but money-wise, it was a few pennies to eat an egg, where it was a whole lot more to eat the cereal. And they wanted to promote their company. This changed the way that they started marketing things. When people had an agenda that they wanted to push forward, they decided, or they found out that because of this whole destroy the egg campaign, that what you do is you create fear in people and you can motivate them to do whatever you want. So my whole reason for bringing that up is what is going on, what I'm seeing now for these young folks, and I would love for you to talk to this too, Lorelei. When we went out there, and Shivani, when we went out looking at what people were saying, because we thought, oh, this is beautiful. We love what these young kids are really making a change, for the better in the communities. And then to see that they were being attacked like they were, saying, all of this conspiracy stuff, which I don't like the conspiracy stuff. And this is BJ King, as BJ King would say, put your bullshit meter on, because they're trying to sell you cereal, They're trying to get you in fear, and they're selling you cereal when the egg is better. It can be pure of mind. And this to me, when I look at it, when I look at their auras, and yes, I'm going to be talking about auras in a little bit. When I look at the auras of these kids, when I look at the auras of the people around them, actually the people that normally would step up to the plate, they are taking a passive role, and they are allowing these kids to be the leaders, and they have a leader's aura when they are doing this, when they're up and they're speaking. They're no one's puppets. They are no one's puppets. And I can tell you that from, again, I put my BS meter on. It tells me, yeah, they're pure of heart. And Lorelei, I'd like you to.
Well, I was looking at sort of because there certainly were people of varying ages that marched, but, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, would be perhaps the focus. So I looked at that. That's not a generation, but that kind of 3 years span, just to sort of see, because when you look at something that's about a generation, you look at the outer planets. You don't look at necessarily their sun. I mean, Mercury, Venus, Mars, you look at where was Uranus? Where was the planet of originality? Where was Neptune, the planet of dream? Where was Pluto? Because these are the generational kinds of influences. Well, interestingly enough, that particular 3 years, and probably another year on either side, they have significant Aquarius energy, without belaboring the language of astrology, which would suggest to challenge the system, to challenge the status quo. And in other words, this planet Uranus, this planet of awakening and shock and surprise and being who you really are, being authentic, they were born with it in Aquarius, in that energy. Well, this planet now, this planet of uniqueness, is in Aries. It's been there for almost 7 years, which is a lot about what's been about people stepping forward and having the courage to do what they haven't done before. So it's like this generation is feeling stimulated, triggered, not because the planet is doing anything to them, because what is going on inside them is going on in the heavens, and what's going on in the heavens is going on inside them. But so what one would see of the like 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds would be sort of a general thread of they've come in to challenge the system and to transform certain systems by being authentic, stepping out. I mean, exactly what this is about. Exactly what this is about.
That's it. And Shivani?
Yeah, look, the cool thing is I've done a little bit of research, and excuse me if I'm actually reading it. So I looked at Generation Z, or Z as we would pronounce it in Australia. So anybody who is born 1995 or after. Now, what's interesting is they make up 25.9% of the US, say if I stay in the US, of the US population, which is 44 billion people. So it's actually a third of the US. And 72% of this Generation Z, when they've been interviewed, they actually want to be an entrepreneur of some sort. So they are, right, which is high number. And also they're not going away. Even if you're 16, in 2 years' time, you're going to vote. Yeah, so I think the government has to take these people very, very seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because, in a few years, that's it.
Many of them this year.
Huge influence.
Well, and again, we all know, and hopefully everyone that's watching or listening, whatever is coming up for anybody around anything, but this particular event or this particular speaking out, marching out, what people are saying that's derogative, again, it's about looking at self, I mean, people need to be saying, wow, if I'm having this reaction to them doing this, what is that showing me about myself? You know, where, because we're all having this opportunity again to go deeper in saying, oh, that outer circumstance is challenging me, then that means I have to go deeper inside in order to do my inner transformation before anything's going to transform in my outer world.
Mm. Yeah, and what is it about shaming people because of their age? Yeah. So it's so easy to cut people off and say, oh, you're too young. What do you
know? Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, you know, again, these kids are plugged in. No, they may have only been in these bodies for 16, 17, 18, 9, whatever it is, but they are plugged in terms of when they chose to incarnate on the planet. You know, they have energies that they were born with that we've never seen. So yeah, pretty interesting.
And this is something else that I have seen, and I see auras, and we're going to talk about auras in just a minute. And we have somebody that wrote in that has been seeing the auras too. When you know the typical aura, this is your energy field that's around your body. It's about 3 feet. It goes out about 3 feet in most people, unless they have experienced a huge trauma in their life, and then it can go out 50 feet. Which means that they have a more of an impact on other people that they come in contact with. That aura will get on you if you're not careful, if you're not aware of it, and if they carry it as fear. Go back to, you know, the cereal. You know, if they carry it as fear. But if they carry it as a mission, then it makes the people around them even stronger.
Yeah, I get that. That makes total sense.
And the blue aura, the leadership color, these kids were just surrounded in blue. I mean, they each had their own unique colors around them as well. You know, I saw yellow, and I saw 1 or 2 people with red, but mostly I didn't see a lot of red. I saw no black, which I didn't know if I would or not. I didn't see any black or brown in any of the kids, but they were all very blue, very violet, very yellow, and a couple of people even had some green in their auras. But blue is the color of communication. It is the leader of many. It is strength. It is intuitive, understanding what people around you want and need from you. And that's what I saw around these kids. And again, if I wasn't able to see this, you know, I might have looked twice at some of the comments that were made, or even investigated what people saw. But when I see with my own intuition, and I see the color of people, that tells me all I need to know. I don't need to do any further investigation, because I know I'm right. You know, and for those of you out there that have the same abilities, you know you're right too. So, you know, you see it, you trust it.
Yeah. And for me, I can't actually see auras per se, but I conceive it through my heart. Like, I see these kids and I'm riveted. I'm going, yeah, keep, you know, because I can feel their heart centered.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and for, I forgot her first name, the Gonzalez, what's her first name again?
Emma,
right. Yeah. I mean, to be able to hold that space, to be able to hold that energy, the whole thing she did, but the 6 minutes of silence, to be actually able to hold that space for everyone on some level, you know, that's pretty powerful stuff, you know, and of course, out of her own experience of being in that situation, you know, to have transformed to a point of being courageous enough to step out. Again, to me, the quote naysayers, again, they just have an amazing opportunity to look inside as to why they're so triggered by her or the movement or, you know, whatever.
What's really interesting is if you've seen any pictures of her before all this happened, long hair almost to her waist.
Oh, really?
And she was, it's after all of this happened I can't remember what the story was, and maybe somebody can write in and tell us, but I believe after these 17 people died, she shaved her head.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is that what happened? I didn't know that.
That's what happened, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I believe that's correct. If I'm not correct, please somebody go ahead and write in, but I believe that's what she said on an interview. And so she shaved her head. And for those people who have been, I mean, she's taken the most criticism because she doesn't look like people think she ought to look.
Well, don't most leaders, aren't they the ones that get the firing at more than others, right?
Yeah, she's making a statement, and good on her. Because of her, people, even if you disagree, you're opening your eyes and you're checking inside and you're saying, okay, what is it about me that would bring out my inner warrior?
Yeah.
My inner activist, my inner leader. What would bring it out? Because that was not her role before.
Interesting.
And each one of them from a soul perspective, again, when there's disorder on earth, there's order in heaven. There is order to all of this. Yeah. Is it, I'm not saying that these people needed to die, but because they did, they stepped into an opportunity that they didn't have to step into. They could have, gone along with the egg and, gone away, or they could step up to the plate. And that's what they decided to do, that they would be the change that they wanted to see in the world.
Yeah.
Those are, their lives have been changed forever by this. And the course of their life took a whole different path.
But what kind of courage? I mean, think of the courage to have been in that situation and then out of it to create an opportunity for people to honor, to speak out. That in such a short period of time. Again, that in and of itself is pretty magical. Obviously many lives were transformed, but certainly hers to have been there and then to take that experience and actually use it in a way to be in service.
Right.
In high service.
And also, I think from what I understand, this generation has experienced the most shootings. Yeah, they grew up with drills at school with, unheard of in Australia, by the way. And I think enough is enough. Like, okay, it's been happening, and eventually it's saturation point. And good on them. And, it reminds me, because that is my age more, if you have a look how society was before the 60s, and then the hippie movement, the flower power, the hippie. But have a look what huge change and shift they created.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the sense I have with these kids. It's a movement. It's not just, hey, we're demonstrating for a few days. They are set in what they want to achieve. Well, and good on them. They will. They have to. That's the world awakening.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you would bring up the 60s because the two planets that were dancing together, or what we call conjunct in the 60s, were the planet Pluto, the planet of power and control, and the planet Uranus, the planet of change, rebellion. They were together. Well, now, these last 7 years, those two planets, which has been a lot of how we can understand this kind of breakdown of the power structures and the infrastructures of so many things. But again, this generation, they are tied into the 60s from an energetic, from a planetary perspective. So it's fascinating. I think we talked about that, the three of us, but the fact that you would bring it up now, again, is pretty amazing because they do take on that energy of what was created in the 60s. Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I just want to say again, everyone, that what we're talking about here are the students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas in Parkland, Florida, the shooting that happened about 6 weeks ago where 17 people were killed. And for those of you who want to join in the conversation, this is a conversation. It's not just us. You have an opinion too, and we really want to hear it. And questions that you have, just put them in. Wherever, depending on your technology. Again, I used to say, go to the right, go to the left, go below. It's different depending on the technology you're on, so we can't even say that anymore. And just wherever that Q&A box is, or that that message box is, go ahead and put your comments.
And I just want to say, Cindy, this is not a conversation about pro or con guns. This is not really about that. I mean, that, not to say those aren't important conversations, but for this particular, what we're doing and the Soul View, it's not about that. So we don't want to go down that road. We want to keep it on the road of, there is a way to see anything that happens from a soul perspective, in the way I've been talking about what we're creating, and I'm sure it'll change as we go further with this. But it's an opportunity to be conscious and compassionate, and to be able to see every experience consciously, compassionately, and with joy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I'm glad that you said that, because that's kind of where everybody goes with it, is, oh, the government's trying to take away our guns and that kind of stuff. That's not this conversation. And we can have that conversation at some point if you want to, because I've got a lot of insight on it. For those of you who do want to know more about it, there is a new book out. It is called, let me get it for you here. I wrote it down. It's called Gunfight. And this is the battle over the rights to bear arms. It's by Adam Winkler, and I just started it, and it's amazing, and how it's all changed and came to be like it is. It's another egg story. When you listen to it, you will spot the egg story. That's so really fascinating reading. You know me, got a new book, all the time.
Yay.
So that's the new book that I recommend. If that's something that's near and dear to your heart, it is the history. It isn't one side or the other. They kept saying, what side is someone on? It's not about that. It is truly the history of guns in America, especially.
Well, that would be interesting. Yeah.
It's really fascinating. I just started it.
Yeah, it's almost like guns are in the DNA of Americans. It's like, it's such a different reality. And again, whatever you believe, yes, that's true for you.
Yeah.
So
we can have that conversation a little deeper later if somebody wants that conversation. But we want to, as Lorelei said, we're really looking at our ability when something happens in our lives to step up to the plate in a leadership role, if that's the role that we choose. Mm-hmm. And not everybody became leaders. Not the whole school didn't become the leaders, but there were a select few that became leaders because of this. And the other people are backing them. They're all around them, supporting them, all of the other students, and they're out there, they're doing it, their voices are being heard, and they are making a difference, and you can make a difference too.
Wouldn't it be cool?
The cool thing is they have, I don't know if you've seen that, but Oprah and George Clooney both gave $500,000 to the movement. And there are more and more celebrities that actually stand right with them. And Oprah, especially Oprah is just overjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, how do you give to this movement? Who do you give it to? I mean, who's collecting the $1 million? I mean,
there's Move On is one of the organizations that I actually belong to, and they support a lot of things. There's a lot of things on Move On movement where you can actually give to the kids.
Okay.
To support them. So there are lots of ways to do that. If anybody else has a link, please put it in the chat box, and that way we can share it with everybody.
Well, and if that's not an Aries name, Move On.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, it's like, let's get going. Let's move.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Anne just wrote, she said, my sister and the grannies marched with the younger generation in Victoria, BC this Saturday. Love how it brings generations together.
Totally.
How nice. Yeah. Because I think the question is really, how do I want to experience life?
Totally.
What is the quality of my life?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I understand that I don't want to go to school, and every day I'm worried that somebody shoots me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a no-brainer for me, right?
It was that way, way back when, if people talk about, abuse, and it's something that I've experienced firsthand. And because of what I experienced, I didn't want other people to experience the same thing. Spousal abuse was very different the way that it was perceived back in the 70s. And it was always, well, what did you do wrong that caused him to beat you? That, and that still happens, but not like it did, where the cops would blame you. You shouldn't piss him off then, and that's different today because we stood up, because those of us who went through that stood up and said, we can have a better future. It doesn't have to be this way if we take a stand. That's what these kids are doing. Yeah. And it's going to be interesting. Look at all these years later and how much different it is. Now I can use my own name to get a credit card. Now I can sign for my own apartment if I wanted to get an apartment. And back in the 60s, 70s, you had to have somebody sign for you. So, it's a different world. It's very different today. And it is going to be a different world, a year from now, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, because of what these kids are doing. They will be, I see some of them as our future politicians.
Absolutely. And last time we talked about the shadow, and that is what I see. They're really going, look at the shadow, look at it. Whatever you've done so far is not working. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, most of these kids aren't trying to take away anybody's guns. They just want the regulations to be stronger.
Yeah.
Most of them, that's what they're saying. So,
well, and if you think about it as a generation or whatever, the fact that on a spiritual level that they've each sort of signed on to be so courageous, because as you said, Shivani, can you imagine going to school and having that even in your consciousness? We never had that even in our consciousness, right? Well, just the fact that it's up really speaks to me how courageous these folks are, that they've incarnated at a time when this issue is up, and it's like they're going forward going, okay, we'll be part of this, to have to speak out and be courageous and champion ourselves or protect whatever it is, just that in and of itself is a courageous choice for them to make.
Look, I'm just amazed, and I'm so proud of them, because would you have thought, like, if you look back and you're 16, would you have had the courage? No way.
It was about getting a date or being or whatever.
Hey, the world was just so different back then. It really has changed, and kids are more mature. I look at my grandson and Sarah and the things that they know. I'm like, I was in almost 30 before I knew those things.
Well, it shows you that evolution works, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. I'm stunned. I'm stunned by we talked about this last time, the folks born in the 80s, and I'm stunned by those born in the 70s. I mean, it's really, it's fascinating to watch the choices that they're making with what they've come in with.
I think there's a reason, there's a purpose, right? Because, these are the people that will act for me, because we are in the midst of an awakening, and my words would be, we need to now create heaven on earth.
Yeah.
And so to bring the spiritual part that is within all of us, and then how do I live? What do I say? What do I believe? They are instrumental.
Yeah.
I want to just acknowledge a few people and read a few of the comments on, this is on Facebook, and then let us know, everybody. Again, if you're on Zoom with us, go ahead and put your comments in. If you are on Facebook, if you are on Facebook Live and you like what we're doing, I would love to see some hearts and thumbs up, and let us know this is what you want, because we're in the beginning stages of this show. This is brand new for us, and your direction helps us be stronger leaders. So please let us know what it is you want. Is this the conversations that you're wanting? And I just want to say hi, Amy. Hi, Carol. Hi, Marjorie. Let's see here. Bill. Amur. Let's see here. Charlotte. Linda. Eileen. Randall. So many people here.
Hey, hi.
Susie. Hi, Susie.
Well,
Sandy, Larry. Yeah, and some of the comments here, projection makes perception.
totally.
And Melinda says, out of the mouths of babes. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Love it. And Charlotte says, hi, Cindy. And Melinda also wanted to know about the painting behind me. No, I did not paint that. That was actually painted by Eva Sullivan. And she is an amazing artist. And if you want more information, just let me know and I can put her URL in Facebook. But yeah, isn't that beautiful? This is Angel of the Rainbow of the Earth. So watching over the earth.
Wow, beautiful.
Don't you love that?
Yeah.
Beautiful artist.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
any
right.
questions? Do you guys see any questions? Thank you for the thumbs up, everybody, and the hearts. We'd love to hear from you. That way we know that you like what we are talking about. We're new at this. As we develop it, once again, we want to do what you want us to do. You can guide us in what it is that we are doing here on the Soul View.
Yeah, so Karen just said she loves the conversation. So that's nice. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Well, and I just wanted to say something about this Aries Libra balance that we have this opportunity to do this weekend. It's like, and I'm a Libra, so yes, we want to hear from you and we want to please and we want to give you what you want, and we're going to be true to who we are as well. So in other words, the delicate balance is, and this is for all of us, not just this show and us, but for all of us, is that where am I going? Am I being true to who I am? And then who's going with me? So as we know, you can't, even though you got a Libra moon and I'm a Libra, you can't please all the people all the time, right, Cindy? Haven't you tried?
Oh yeah, we've tried, and it's
how much lower back pain have you had in your life when you when we're unconscious of that people-pleasing, approval-seeking Libra energy? See, Shivani, you don't have any of that natally, so you.
Yeah.
So when you and I get into people-pleasing mode, Cindy, we can defer to Shivani to help us make the decision.
Yeah. I don't have that much. You're right. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say here, we've got a lot of people here on Zoom too. Let me see, is it Michelle says hello from Tennessee, and Karen, and let's see here, Anne. Hi, Anne. Good to see you. Oh, it was Anne that was saying that about the grannies out there. I love it.
Yeah. So yeah.
So
all right. So
questions and your comments. Anything else that you want to talk about with these young folks out there besides, we really want to, we'll leave a link for everybody on our Facebook page where you can go and donate if you want to donate to help them continue their mission. And I am all for it. I've already given some, but I did it through the moveon.org, and you can do it. I think there's other links too, so we'll find out and leave you the link.
Something that occurs to me, which we're seeing a lot, and I believe this kind of reflects the journey of Jupiter, what the truth in Scorpio retrograde. A lot of people are being brought to their knees right now, in terms of whether something like that, or in their own personal lives, maybe with a diagnosis or a job ending or a relationship changing form. And so in that being brought to our knees, we're really having the opportunity to reveal to ourselves a deeper level of connection, in that, and to connect with other people out of what could be fear or pain, but to reach out and to actually be supported in those deep, dark places. So that's right, Jim? I mean, that's what I'm seeing too. It's like, yes, there are things happening. There's no question, whether it's pets dying or people or shootings or whatever, but there is this opening that's occurring in our world of this deep connection in those moments of being brought to our knees.
Yeah. And I think you have an opportunity to open your heart more.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the invitation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're exactly right. We all have the invitation right now to open our hearts and our lives in a bigger way. You know, I don't want to shift the conversation too much here, but I'm going to talk about my kitty.
We need to wrap up. We actually need to wrap up.
Yeah, we need to wrap up. But I just want to talk about my kitty for a moment. You know, when I got Gracie, she was given to me or pointed out by my other cat, Band-Aid, who passed away almost 2 years ago. And she started meowing. And I mean, I could hear him meow every time I would go by her cage. So I got this cat, and she's ended up being a therapy kitty. And so a way for me to help others right now is stepping out. I have become, you know, a volunteer to go to hospice, I got another invitation yesterday, you know, to nursing homes, to Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. This is a way for me to give back, something I didn't expect to do. And what I want to say to everyone is there is a way for you to give back too. What is it? What is it that's sometimes it just falls in your lap like this did? It wasn't something I planned. Never would I have planned anything like that. Taking a cat out to these places. Are you kidding? You know, I've never had a cat that would do that. And she loves it. And she, you know, when we were out at the park the other day, she would see kids and she would start responding and trying to get out to go see them. She just loves everybody. And that's who she is. So I am just listening and available, making myself available to help others who are in difficult situations. And these therapy kitties and dogs, they bring lots of different animals, help so much. So how can you help others?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Being who you are,
right?
Serving with joy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I want to end, because I promised this to everybody. I want to end with the auras. And we had somebody that wanted to talk about it. And Ferris, I don't know if you're still on the call, but Carla, she says that she also sees auras, and she went into drawing. I think she's drawing them. Is that what it says? I'm sorry, it's kind of far away for me.
Yeah, it says.
She basically said she sent drawings, but
complicated.
Forget. You didn't get them.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get them. Okay, no, I didn't see them. I'm going to check in my trash to see if they ended up in trash or something, or junk mail.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so I'll look there. But I just very quickly want to say this, because, and for anybody in the future, you can write in if there's a leader somewhere. Theresa May, by the way, she has a lot of pink in her aura. And she is the Prime Minister of, in the UK. And she's got a lot of blue, which is leadership. That's very smart. There's a lot of trust, a lot of faith. And I'm going to just look down at my notes here so that I remember. She's very loving, very intuitive, very tender, very other focused. That's the pink that's in her aura. And then I want to talk about Donald Trump, because he's the one that really amazes me. When, you know, he's got a lot of red energy, and that's a lot of why sometimes he looks more, his skin tones look a little more orange than other times.
And his hair.
It was really interesting. The more orange he looks, the more red his aura will show. And this is his, by God, it's going to be my way or the highway. It's, you know, nobody else is going to tell me what to do. And the red in your aura is a very strong energy. It's a very, it's very much a risk taker energy. It is, you have many, 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 many relationships. If you have a lot of red energy, you get yourself in hot water a lot. You get to the boiling point a lot. That's that red energy. But what's really fascinating was when he gets up in front of what he would call his people, the blue comes out.
Oh, interesting.
The blue comes out, and I was like, look at the blue, look, even yellow. And yellow that's more analytical, more logical. He's got a little yellow. I've never seen pink in his aura, or green, which is healing. I'm just looking at my notes here, but I see strong, which is master communicator. Somebody that has blue, master communicator, somebody that's very intuitive. They can pick up on what people are feeling and needing from them in the moment. And that's what he does. So I had to go back and look at my notes again about auras to see why I was seeing this and why the drastic change. Because most days he's red. But when he's in front of a crowd and he's speaking to the people, he's got a great amount of blue. And I wanted other people to confirm what they were seeing too. That's why I asked everyone.
Well,
so, interesting.
I don't see auras, but what you just said is very interesting, because Trump, while he's Gemini, has a lot of Cancer energy. And again, when he's feeling secure and not like a brat, that's rapport. That's being able to, relate to each person one-on-one in a very, sensitive, caring way. And so I would think that would be part of, what you're seeing is that part of him that so naturally can create rapport with his audience, whoever the audience is, whether
and he does, and he knows exactly what people want to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, he understands that. He, like I said last week, he is an empath, and he picks up on what people need, and they will, and he pulls that out very quickly, and he's a master at it. So, like it or not, he's still good at it. You don't have to like him to recognize what he's good at.
Yeah.
Shivani?
Yeah, look, I don't see aura, so, I just
but
see...
you feel energy.
Yeah, and I agree, just intuitively, sometimes I see that he's in his little child and he's throwing a tantrum, and then,
That's a red.
Yeah, and then and I agree, he is very different when he talks to his own people. He's much more settled, he's much more... Yeah, it's different because I think he feels safe and secure.
I was just going to say safe before you said it. That's exactly right. That's really interesting, because most people would not get that. What? Trump doesn't feel safe? He doesn't feel safe. He's got all this money, all this power, but that has nothing to do with the inner safety and security.
No.
So... Anyways, I just wanted to share that. And Shivani, can you see the comments there? I can't see those, and I'm going to check Facebook.
Just basically, love it, girl, spirituality, but here on earth. That was from Marielle. And we have Michelle, much love to everyone. Yeah.
And Joel said hi from VA. And let's see, any other?
And here's one. This is a wonderful conversation.
Blessings to you all. Thank you.
This is a wonderful conversation. It's the soul view, and you are keeping it real. I too think we are hungry for community and authenticity. It's like the news, and at the same time, deep and true. Your openness is important. Powerful women. Good, good, good. Thank you, Linda from Delaware. And hi, Cindy. Thank you for doing this. Yes, it's important to see both sides. I can clearly see history repeating itself. People have to educate themselves for their own good. Wow. Thank you, Martha.
Yeah. And trust your heart, trust your body, trust your feeling, trust your vision. That's when you really make up your own mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, beautiful. Well, you two, you're so amazing. I love you both. And I thank you for going on this journey with me. And, the three of us, the three amigos.
Yay. What is it again? The activist and Pollyanna and the...
Phoenix Rising.
Walk into a bar.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said the other day. That kind of the warrior activist. and Lorelei's the Pollyanna, and Shivani is the Phoenix Rising. and they walked into the bar and.
We don't have the next line yet, but we will.
We'll come up with it, or you can give us some ideas, everybody. Again, we're doing this for you. Please leave us comments. Let us know the direction that you want us to go in. We are here to be of service to you. We're happy to lead in this, but we love your feedback. So let us know what you think, what you want the topics to be. Again, we are pulling each week these topics from the news, from what's making the news right now around the world, not just in the U.S., around the world. So whatever you see in the headlines, email us, and support at energizedlivingtoday.com. And you can also leave it on our Facebook page. I will be checking the Facebook page as well. And we'll make sure that we go in the direction you want us to go in. So any final thoughts, ladies?
Just share it with your friends, of course.
And again, as since the moon will be full anywhere in the world, we will all see the full moon. Just know that when the moon is full, there's greater clarity, illumination, and awareness, and the miracles that come out of that time can change our lives forever.
Beautiful. Wow. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Much love to you. And until next time, namaste.
Blessings.
Blue skies, green lights, lucky stars.